Hello. It's so interesting every time I sit here because I really make a point of not thinking about what I'm about to discuss, chat about. So it's an interesting exercise that I'm doing, and it's so tempting to sit a little bit and try to put your thoughts together, and I just refuse to. Perhaps some of you will tell me I should. But I had a lot of questions last week and this week about willpower and how to not destroy a diet, how to not give up on whatever system of nutrition that you decided to sort of hook on and stay on for a period of time. And it was interesting because I was looking at what is it that we need to have willpower or lack of willpower regarding nourishing ourselves. And basically this temple, right? We call it our temple of love. And why is it that it requires so much effort on our part to be kind to it? And I was thinking, I went through a lot of emotions in the last month or so, and I was paying attention, especially when there was downtime and my mind wanted to race. And I was really paying attention to what it felt like when my mind was racing, which is, for me, rarely a good sign. Too many thoughts, and I was really closing my eyes and allowing my awareness beyond my thoughts. So there's the thought going and going, and there was an aspect of me who was very aware of watching the effect of the thoughts on my body. And it was very uncomfortable, and anxiety and tension. The breathing was not right, and as an aspect of me was thinking, I'm not sure if thinking is the right word, but an aspect of me was observing how unhealthy and unkind and undeserving these thoughts were to my body, because it felt terrible. So it was very clear that my body was highly uncomfortable with these thoughts and was not happy about it. If it could talk, it would say, stop this. It's just not good for me. And I could feel the stress hormones, and my whole system was not right. Now, I've been aware of that on and off, but I really, especially the last month, I really allowed myself to feel it without editing or stopping the thoughts at all. And just by observing the impacts of my thoughts on my body, on my emotions, my body, my emotions, so much the same, suddenly the thoughts just dissipated. And I wasn't trying to stop the thoughts, but I was very clear that I was going to observe the impact of those thoughts on my physical beingness. And as I was observing it and realizing how destructive it was, I also suddenly realized that the thoughts stopped. And then I just started breathing consciously and on purpose. And there's a part of me who decided that no more will I be lazy about allowing this pattern to happen. Now, this has been a process for me for quite a long time, but there's something very visceral and very impactful and real that happened. And then I was challenged in that, in events that were really my trigger points that could get me going in that direction, in allowing thoughts to be very harmful to my well-being. So that's connected to willpower. What is it about us all that we have to work so hard to treat our body well? We have to work so hard. We have to have a system that tells us what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, and decide on a system. And this sort of disconnect on knowing, just by eating or drinking something, knowing that it just doesn't feel right, or knowing simply because of the ingredients of what it is, that it simply is destructive, the same way that those thoughts were destructive. And I think it goes back to previous babble of mine, where we have this objectification of our bodies, and it goes beyond just what we are ingesting, things that are, that we can touch and see and smell. Objectifying our bodies goes beyond just the eating and the drinking, and even beyond the exercising. It really goes back to how destructive we are with our thoughts, and how all those things are connected. Because why would I let any thought be so harmful to this body that I'm trying so hard to keep healthy, right? We're all very clear that we don't want to be ill. We don't want to ache. We don't want to have arthritis, problem with our joints. And we don't want to not be able to ski and play and have fun. And so we are being very careful and much more aware now than ever before in what we are ingesting. And there's all the PR on healthy, organic, non-GMO, whole food, clean eating, they call it now. And we are also aware of, that stress is not healthy for our physical well-being. Well, these thoughts are quite stressful on our physical well-being. And I feel that love thyself and this temple of love, if we try to really root that, to land those statements into our physical bodies, into our lives here on earth, in these bodies, the temple of love, our body, our temples, are highly stressed by these thoughts, and these thoughts contributes to the way we feed ourselves and what we drink, and how destructive and obsessive we are becoming with exercise, where we so often with our food and our movements are passing this fine line, that boundaries between obsession and enjoyment of moving, enjoyment of ingesting food, enjoyment of anything that has to do with our bodies. And so clothes is about very often hiding ourselves or over dramatizing ourselves to get approval. And if we bring all that back, it goes back to our thinking. And if we really understood the impact of our thinking on our health, this would be advertised and talked about just as much. And I'm becoming so aware of, if we went, instead of focusing solely on the eating and the exercising, if this point here was balanced with also focusing on how we think of ourselves. Because if we stopped objectifying our own selves, if we stopped this constant criticism of everybody and everything around us, and ourselves included, our system would relax. It would chill. It would function better. Perhaps it wouldn't be quite as ill, and perhaps it wouldn't be quite as difficult to manage our eating and our drinking and our playing and our exercising, if this thought process wouldn't be so negative all the time. And it's difficult for me more and more to talk about health and fitness and well-being without also thinking about how we feel about ourselves, and how connected how we feel about ourselves is to how we feel about others, and how we criticize others, and how we criticize ourselves. And so I wanted to point that out today, very simply, that perhaps it has nothing to do with willpower, and but perhaps there's much more to healthy eating than healthy eating. That healthy eating starts here and here. Healthy eating is honoring these bodies without objectifying these bodies, so that it is a lot easier to dress ourselves, to be with others, and to feed ourselves, and to move, and to have friendships and relationships with each other, if this constant judgment wouldn't be incessant in our minds. And that really health on all levels would be so much easier. So we would still move and exercise and enjoy dressing ourselves and eat and enjoy exploring different way of eating and finding out for ourselves what is the best way for me to eat, what works best for my body. But it wouldn't be about willpower, because the understanding, the realization that this body is us, it is I, and therefore I will not beat it up into submission. And I think if we really harness that in a loving way, if we truly get that, I will not bring to submission this physical embodiment, this temple where my soul resides for a little while. I will not beat it to submission. I will honor it. I will understand that how I feel about it is the beginning of my health and my well-being. And it is also the beginning of my well-being with others, my well-being with going to public places and feeling good no matter what. So accept yourself for what you are is a very in-depth process, not as easily done than said. And it's not accepting that treating ourselves badly is okay. It's not accepting that, being very overly overweight is okay. It's not accepting that, because that is an aspect of not liking and loving yourself. But it's really understanding, a deep understanding, that the why to mistreating yourself, why needing so much will and discipline in order to be kind to yourself, that is perhaps the beginning of your fitness story. And if it cannot be the beginning, if that is not real enough for you, then perhaps, yes, start with the way you eat, the way you move, what you ingest, but don't forget, as above, so below. So don't forget to notice how it feels when you think about others, not just yourself, but when you think about others and the state of affairs and politics and what your husband should and should not have said, or what your kids should and should not do, the school system, the pollution. There's a way to look at these events without these events being polluting, without these events polluting your internal level of stress or relaxation. So it doesn't mean that you don't do anything, that whatever pulls you, whatever drives you to put into action your desire to see health and well-being outside of your own temple, it doesn't mean that relaxation, that internal relaxation, will end any action, but it means that you understand that stressing and polluting your internal well-being will not enhance your ability to act upon the world in a way that will benefit yourself and others. So I wanted to, it's becoming very important for me, and I wanted to sit here because today I was very aware, watching my thoughts move through me, which one brings space, which one tightens me, and very clearly seeing that this is not helping me, seeing with great clarity what needs to be said or not said, what needs to be done or not done, and that is the being and the statement of health, that is crucial. And I believe it is being acknowledged more and more that it's not solely exactly what you eat or how many hours of exercise or what kind of exercise, how much carbs, protein, how much does it weigh, how big is it on your plate, but it's the state of being that you are in when you do eat that food, whether it's this much on your plate or whether it's that much. What state are you in? When you do your exercise, are you in a desperate state of needing to look good so very badly? Submit your body to an exercise program, or are you in pure enjoyment of loving your temple? And in loving your temple, you embrace your exercise program, you embrace your food. So it doesn't matter if it looks good from the outside, what you're eating, or what exercise program you're on, or even what you look like. What matters is how do you feel when you move through these events in your life? Because we spend a lot more time moving through things, going through things, than getting there. So how do you feel through every day of living your exercise program, your eating program, and your life? How does every moment of your life feel to you? Are you like this? Are you exhausted at the end of the day and like looking forward to sleeping or watching TV? Or are you looking forward to your vacation, to the weekend? Because the moment to moment is like this. And I think it's a crucial aspect of how healthy and strong your body will be. How do you feel about it? Are you aware of this internal place of yours that is the acknowledgement that this body is not an object? It's a beautiful, beautiful reservoir of your own soul for the moment. And once again, I wanted to reinforce that today here because I felt it so very strongly, and I was so very grateful for this body today and all the pleasure that it brings to me, and all the amazing things that it lived through, survived and thrived from, and all the many more days and years that I can look forward to enjoying this life through this body, as well as through my heart and through my soul and through my mind. All of it. So let's not objectify ourselves anymore. Let's understand that we are all amazing miracles, and the way we feel about ourselves does not need to be earned. This is a temple of love, and let's honor it as such. Be well. Thank you for listening.